Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. We talk about cricket in this segment, rather. We continue to talk about cricket. We opened with cricket. And West Indies managed to salvage a draw in the first test against Sri Lanka at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua on Thursday, thanks largely to Nkrumah Bonner's unbeaten 113. Bonner batted out the fifth day, notching his maiden test century, ensuring the Windies avoided defeat. In all, Bonner batted for 423 minutes, facing 274 balls. Commenting on his knock, Bonner said, "It's truly special for me. This was my childhood dream and I'm really happy to get this monkey off my back. The Sri Lankan bowlers are very disciplined, so it was important for me to construct my innings with discipline." The former West Indies batting coach, Toby Radford, has worked with Bonner in the past, and the Welshman joins us now. Good day wherever you are, Toby. Good to have you on the program.
Evening. Yes, I'm in Wales this evening. A
Yep,
few thousand miles away from you.
Are you in Glamorgan?
In Glamorgan, exactly that.
There you go. There you go. All right, Toby, before we even talk about the analysis of what Bonner did well from your perspective and, you know, what it is that you spoke to him about, just talk about the West Indies batting performance in this first test.
I think they'll be, having had such a good first day in terms of how they bowled and bowling Sri Lanka out for 160, I think they'll probably be disappointed that they only got a lead of 100. I'm sure they'd have wanted 200 plus as a lead. The wicket, it looked to me, got better and better, and then clearly, it was difficult to get Sri Lanka out second time around. So having bowled so well on the first day, I think they would have loved to have got a big score in the first innings and put real pressure on Sri Lanka to go and win the game. As it was, it turned out yesterday they saved it really well. And delighted for Nkrumah Bonner because, I met him 10 years ago when I first went to the Caribbean. He was part of the first cohort on the Sajid Kaur West Indies Academy in Barbados. And he was in the same group as Shannon Gabriel, Jason Holder, Shamar Brooks, Dowrich, a really, really talented group of players. And he was part of that. And, we know how long he's had to wait for his opportunity. I was really pleased to see that he did well in Bangladesh before Christmas, and he's carried that on in this match. So, I'm delighted. He was always a talented player, works very hard, thinks a lot about his game, and he's taken his opportunity. So really pleased for him.
Yeah, all right. So, Toby, what it is that he said to you about his performance and the manner of dismissal in the first innings of the first test, and what he asked for in terms of suggestions as to how he could conquer those things and do better in the second innings?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I had a bit of a shock. I was sitting on this same sofa in here watching television the other morning, and the phone rang, and by the time I took it out of my pocket, it had gone off. So I looked at it, and there was a number there, and it said Bonner on it. I hadn't spoken to him for a long time, so I actually wondered if it was a mistake and had gone off in his pocket by accident. So I rang him back, and I said, "Hi, mate, did you ring me?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I got a bit of a problem." I said, "Well, what's up?" "Oh," he said, "I'm not happy with the way I'm batting." He said, "Yesterday I didn't feel comfortable. I feel as if I'm playing across the ball." He said, "I just don't feel myself. Can you help me?" I said, "Yeah, of course I can help you. Send the footage across," because obviously I don't see all the footage. I follow the game on the scores.
Yes.
So he sent it across on WhatsApp. He sent the first innings. I had a good look at it. And he'd just come out of the shower. This was early in the morning in Antigua, and he's preparing to go for the ground. So I said,
yes.
"Look, give me an hour. I'll have a look and I'll get straight back to you." So I looked at the footage, and it was very clear to me that Lakmal in particular was coming wide of the crease. And in coming wide of the crease, he was angling the ball back in. And Nkrumah was getting too sideways on. His left shoulder was almost facing mid-off. So when the ball was angling in straight, he was then having to turn his whole body to get the bat back at the line of the ball. And in doing that, the ball would then swing, and he'd sort of square up, and he was getting a lot of balls squirting through point, through gully, third man, and clearly wasn't happy that he was getting the bat on the ball. So I said, "Look, it's very simple. All you've got to do really, to open your left shoulder and get your weight going back more towards the stumps. Don't be as sideways as you are. So when that ball now comes straight, you can hit it back straight to the stumps, and you can access all the different lines of delivery. And then when it swings, you can meet the ball easily." So that was it. And the other thing I mentioned to him was, if the ball is angling in like that, just change your guard a bit, come back an inch or two more towards middle and leg. So again, it accounts for the angle of the ball back in. So two things really: opening the front shoulder and just taking the guard a little bit more back towards the leg stump. And that was really the conversation. I sent him quite a nice picture of A.B. de Villiers, and it's one that I keep on my phone and I use with lots of players around the world. in terms of a setup. So at ball release, they're a little bit open, their weight and everything is aligned towards the stumps. So as the ball angles in, especially from bowlers who go wide of the crease, you never find that you're over sideways and having to go across the line of the ball. And that was it. So I sent it across and he said, mate, I'll work at it when I get into the ground this morning. And then yesterday, it was me following his scores. You know, he's 40 not out, he's 60 not out, and then clearly goes on and gets 100. And having known him, you know, a long period of time, it was great, really, that he's hit that milestone for him.
Whoa, top stuff. But tell me though, Toby, and I suspect your comment where you referenced A.B. de Villiers may answer it, but I wanted to refine the answer even. So are you saying that the position of Nkrumah Bonner's shoulder was causing him a problem relative to the kind of bowling that he was facing from Lakmal,
yes.
Lakmal's approach? So you're not saying that the position of his shoulder is a problem generally speaking?
No, absolutely that. So what's happening is bowlers who go wider of the crease. If you can imagine, normally you line up to the stumps, right?
Yes.
But when the bowler comes from wider, what he was doing was turning his left shoulder, so he's almost lining up to where the bowler's coming from. So when the bowler then bowls on a straighter line, if he comes into middle stump, he's having to turn his whole shoulder to get the back at the ball. Then when it swings, you end up having to go in what we call a snake. It almost does a C shape, an S shape to get back at the ball. Now, if the shoulder's open to start with, when it angles in, you can just get straight at that ball, hit it back past the stumps, mid-on, you can access the ball into the leg side. So it's a very simple remedy, but you've got to know that you're doing it. His left shoulder was just getting a bit too far around, that's all.
Well, I'm even worse than an armchair batsman, but let me engage you more, you're the expert. So are you saying then that by virtue of his shape to approach, correct me if I'm wrong, is it that balance would have been compromised? Is it that bat speed would also have been compromised and the angle with which he's playing the ball?
It's really, what happens is it's difficult to get the bat down in a straight line when balls come on a certain line. So he would be, if you're very sideways as he was, if the ball's outside off stump, you're actually beautifully set up. When the ball angles in straighter, comes more at middle stump and then swings. So imagine Lakmal the other day, Jimmy Anderson is a great exponent of coming into middle stump and swinging it off middle stump. You struggle more if you're too side on. So by just opening the left shoulder, it now makes it much easier when it comes on that line just to bring the bat down straight and connect with it back past the stump.
So here's the other question now, Toby. All right. By virtue of what happened in the first innings, because he used the old stance, if we may call it that, in the first innings, is it that Lakmal would have studied Bonner and come as wide of the crease as he did because he knew he would have exploited the constriction in the stance in the first innings? Am I giving the bowler too much credit?
He may have done. They all look at footage, but I think to be honest, a lot of the world's best bowlers, a lot of international test bowlers, that's what they do. They use the crease. I mean, you know, if you look at England, Wokes, Broad, they're brilliant at using the crease. They don't deliver from the same place. So in a way, they're trying to drag the batsman across. And when you start coming wider, the temptation for the batter is for the shoulder and the head to start moving towards where the ball's coming from. But actually, if you want to be able to hit all lines of delivery, the key is to keep everything going back at the stumps. Track the ball and only move when you know where the ball is finishing. Don't go to the early line of where he's coming from wide of the crease. And all the top bowlers, that's what they do at international level. They use the crease to mess you up. That's the plan.
Absolutely so. And the next thing from me on this is this. So then, based on what happened in the second innings, if you were counselling the bowler, Lakmal, what would you then advise him to do to exploit the fact that Bonner's stance is more applicable? Well, it serves as a natural counter to what you were doing. What would you advise the bowler to do to get some exploitation of the batsman's technique is what I'm asking.
Well, I think what you've done with Bonner, you've enabled him to access all lines. So if it's outside off stump, he can get that. If it comes into middle, you can get that. I think all you can do is, from a bowling point of view, you've got to be consistent now in hitting those areas, and you're waiting for Bonner to make a mistake, because even though he's in a good setup, he's still got to judge well, isn't he? He's still got to get forward and back. He's still got to, what do I play? What do I leave? He's still got to make good decisions, even though he's in a better position to now make them. The problem was before, his body was in a position that even if his brain was telling him what to do, he couldn't get in the position he'd want to be in to play the shot. That was the problem. Fascinating
stuff. And the last question then is this. All right, so Nkrumah used it to good effect in the second innings. What does he do to ensure that becomes almost second nature, to line himself up in the way that you suggested?
Well, this is experience, and I think what you find in international cricket is players are learning all the time, and they make these little, you're just subtly changing where you stand on the crease. Certain types of bowlers, you think, right, it's really swinging in a lot today. I'm going back to middle and leg. Your big away swing bowler, right, I'm getting into off stump. So you make these subtle adjustments all the time, and you do it sometimes in the middle of an innings. You do it after the first innings to a second innings, and that's what experience is. And playing in different parts of the world, faster wickets, you get to the off stump. If you've got blokes swinging in, you go a little bit more the other way. So you learn through your career. And to me, that's what experienced players do. And Bonner's learning that quickly now. I mean, to be fair, he's only just come in the side. He did really well in Bangladesh. He's got 100 yesterday. I think he's done fantastically, and I'm pleased for him because he had to wait a long time. And, it's almost been 10 years since I saw him on that academy. He's nearly 30 now, but he's done his apprenticeship in regional cricket. He's performed there. He's had his opportunity. Some people didn't go to Bangladesh. He's gone there. He said, I'm going there and I'm going to show you. And he did brilliantly, and played a massive part in those wins.
Excellent coaching masterclass. Thank you, Toby Radford, for taking time to speak with us. And you did this for the service of cricketers and non-cricketers alike. I hope you won't send me an invoice.
Sorry, I hope you say?
I hope you won't send me an invoice.
No, great to speak to you. Great to speak to you.
Excellent, Toby. All the best. Good. Toby Radford there, the former West Indies batting coach, speaking to us from his base over there in Glamorgan. That's in Wales. So, team, Toby just went through the nitty-gritty of what was needed in terms of adjustment to the way Nkrumah Bonner's stance was against, especially the fast bowler Lakmal, and the adjustment made by the young man based on Toby Radford's suggestions. And the rest is not even history. It's 113 not out to draw a test match.
Definitely. So I was listening to Toby Radford, and all I could think about is I need to send this episode to Karishma, because I feel like if she listens to this, maybe she can learn a thing or two. And George and Lance, whenever coach, there are certain things that you do sometimes when you're batting or even bowling and you just miss it, and other people looking on can notice, because a simple thing as opening your arms, you may think, okay, that's just something very, very basic, and look at the effect it had on Nkrumah Bonner. I think, a lot of cricketers should start studying their footage and, rectifying where they see mistakes.
Yeah, well, on yesterday's show, we referenced the fact that Nkrumah Bonner has been around West Indies cricket now for a long time, 10 years, in fact. And Toby Radford just mentioned that that's when he saw him first.
Yeah.
And it's great that they have maintained contact. And Toby very, very clear and very emphatic with a lot of the analysis and technical explanation of what has happened with him, certainly from his first innings to the second innings and the success he had. So that's a tremendous story there.
Can I just jump in to say this last thing? I think it's very big of Nkrumah Bonner to actually reach out for help when he realized that what he was doing is not working, because many people they make errors and they keep making the same errors and not look to do something differently. So I think that was a very big move by him.
We break. Back with more on the SportsMax Zone after these.